Welcome back to In Depth with Jodie Lobana. We are interviewing Dr. JAGESSAR from Kabir Association of Canada. In part one of this program, we talked about life of Saint Kabir, and now in the part two, we'll be spending time on talking about the message of Saint Kabir, which is perhaps the more important part, but I wanted to make sure that the viewers know a bit about Saint Kabir, because Saint Kabir is known in Indian subcontinent, Dr. Das, but in North America, in Europe, individuals don't know much about Saint Kabir.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
But he is known among scholars who have done research and written about him.
Sure.
So, and people who have left India
Yes.
and are outside,
Yes.
the diaspora,
Yes.
they know about Kabir.
Yeah.
But a lot of them have studied him as a poet in their
Yes.
schools.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
in terms of being a Satguru,
Yes.
many people are not familiar with that aspect of it.
Definitely. And like today, our audience members found out that Kabirji was not just an ordinary saint. He's considered one of the saint of the highest level by non-Kabir Panthis and Sadguru by Kabir Panthis. He had miraculous powers, and he even brought back a dead person as well during one of his miracles. So he's a saint of the highest order, as far as I'm concerned. So let's talk a bit about Kabirji's message. So Dr. Das, what do you think? What is his key message, like the most significant message that Saint Kabir wanted to give us?
Well, as we mentioned in the last part,
Yeah.
his main message was to awaken people.
Sure.
So he would say, "Ut jaga musafir bhor bhai, to rain kaha tu sowat hai." Oh, traveler in this world, wake up.
Yes.
You are wasting your time just sleeping. It's already daylight. Wake up.
Yeah.
So he used that kind of language to awaken the people. So his main message was to realize that reality that you are. And that will give you liberation. Otherwise, you are sleeping in darkness, in ignorance. And you are sleeping, as it were, in illusion called Maya. He said, wake up from the Maya, wake up from the illusion, and see the reality that is always with you.
And the reality is that we are all divine beings.
Yes,
Right?
yeah, definitely.
And as divine beings, perhaps, as I offered this book and reviewed Kabirji's teaching, this book, Songs for the Soul, featuring 100 beautiful poems of Saint Kabir, I've learned that Saint Kabir talked about the fact that the reality is our divine self. And the world, as you said, is an illusion. So if we were to find the divine within ourselves, that's when where there's a place of eternal bliss. Everything else, that place has no suffering, no sorrow in that place.
That is true.
Yes.
That is what he wanted us to realize.
Yes.
And he urged us to realize it in this life.
Sure.
Because it's only while you have life and consciousness and intelligence can you achieve anything.
Yes.
And death will not allow you to achieve it.
Yes. And some people actually say, wait till you're older, maybe 65, 70 years old, before you go towards spirituality. I'm sure Kabirji wouldn't agree with it.
He did not agree with that at all.
Yes.
He said, you have played as a child and you've grown up and you'll be set with work and so on. So he said to wake up now. Do it while you are growing up.
Yes.
If you have accumulated a whole bundle of karmas, more or less figuratively, Daddy put it on your head, and you're getting old, what's the point of crying then?
Yes.
You can't do anything about it.
And who knows also the fact that the death may come any time. So your opportunity to go inside and realize yourself may be lost.
That's right. He has a couplet like that, Saki. Aaj kahe कल राम भजोगा काल पड़े कहे फिर काल
Sure.
आज काल करते ही अवसर जासी चाल. You say today, tomorrow I'll go and pray, tomorrow I'll do this and that. Tomorrow comes, you say tomorrow, and opportunity is gone.
Yes, yes. So what is the modality that Kabirji gave us in order to realize the divine self? Let's say if you were talking to a person who did not know much about how to go inside, what would you say to them?
Well, first of all, we have to understand we are a physical being, the body.
Sure.
We have a mind.
Yeah.
We have intelligence. We have emotions and feelings.
Yeah.
And we have spirit. In Indian tradition, they're called sheaths or koshas, coverings
Sure.
of the soul. You have the physical sheath called Annamaya Kosh. Then you have the air sheath, the air we live with, is called Pranamaya Kosh. Then you have the mind sheath, Manomaya Kosh. Then you have the intelligence sheath, Prajnanamaya Kosh.
Sure.
Then you have the bliss,
Yeah.
Anandamaya Kosh.
Yeah.
Then you have the soul. So he said, okay, go beyond the physical,
Yes.
go beyond the mental, go beyond the intellectual, go beyond all of them, and get to a state of bliss
Yes.
that's together with the soul. And the way to do that, he said, start with your mind.
Yeah.
The mind is your instrument. He said, Man ko mari gagan sarjai man sarovar paitanahai. He said, subdue the mind and rise above it. Go to that serene lake. Well, he used Mansarovar
Yes.
as a lake with very smooth water.
Yes.
And he said, go there, and that is in your consciousness, when your mind is absolutely still.
Mm.
Practice that stillness.
So, but you know that people with work and school, there's a lot of stress. So the mind is always outwardly facing, and subduing of the mind is difficult.
Mhm.
So what would Kabirji recommend on how should somebody subdue their mind?
Well, first of all, you have to be mindful. See yourself as it were.
Sure.
Okay. Analyze. Okay, I have family, I have home, I have work. These are all things, obligations I have to fulfill.
Yes.
He said, even while you're doing all of those, nothing prevents your mind from connecting with God.
Yes.
You may be driving a car, as we know, we all do it.
Yeah.
You're driving a car, but you can think of something else at the same time.
Yeah.
So he said, even during your work, have the Soham mantra. I am that divine being. And that is in the back of your mind. I'm connected with God. So while you're doing your work, office work,
Yes.
manual work, whatever it is,
Yeah.
it doesn't take any effort just to be where God is with me.
Yes.
God is working in me. God is doing this. I am the instrument.
So in essence, using Soham as, let's say, a mantra to distract your mind from the external factors and to bring it inside towards the divine. Okay, and I guess there is also, I remember even in the event, you talked about the meditation that Kabirji has written about and used to preach. Perhaps we can talk about that meditation, and you can tell us the modality of that meditation as well.
Yes, okay. Again, we have to start with the mind, because that is our instrument.
Sure.
And we practice certain disciplines as far as the body goes.
Yes.
We need to eat certain types of food. It must not involve any violence whatsoever.
So no eating meat,
No,
not even eggs,
No.
nothing?
no.
Okay,
Strict vegetarianism.
sure.
And then have cleanliness of the body. Always clean your body, bathing, etc., clean clothes. He recommends white as a sign of purity.
So you mean not black? The clothes that I'm wearing are probably not recommended by Kabirji?
Well, next time you'll probably be in the white, okay?
Sure.
Yeah, so having lived a pure life, avoid any violence whatsoever, not to kill any being, whether it's a little bug or to the elephant or human beings. He said, Jiv mat maro bapura, sab mein ek hi pran.
Sure.
Hatya kabuhuna chute hai kotin suno puran.
Yes.
He said, don't hurt or kill any living being. They all have life in them. They all want to live.
Yes.
No matter how many scriptures you read, it will not wash away your sins.
Yeah.
Okay, so after you do this part of it,
Yes.
you purify your mind. There are greed, anger, hate, lust, and all these negative things. Ego is one of the big stumbling blocks. Remove all of these.
But how can, some people have the grace where they don't have the lust or greed as much as some of the other people. But let's say if somebody does have it, like, what is the remedy for them? You're a doctor, so I'm sure you're used to prescribing remedies.
Yes, yes.
So let's say if somebody has a lot of greed, a lot of attachment in their life, is there a remedy?
Yeah, first of all, he said to get a guru.
Sure.
Because, as you say, somebody may not know how to go about doing any of this.
Yes.
Okay? So, first instruction is get a guru
Sure.
who is qualified. And once you accept that guru, obey him, serve him.
Yes.
And he will give you knowledge. He will give you the greatest gift you can ever get, is the gift of God.
But does the guru has to be living, or it could be Kabirji himself?
It can be both. And even a third one, I mean, the soul within is also your guru.
Yes.
The Gyan is a guru.
Okay. Yeah.
So he said, have a living guru
Yes.
if one is available. If not, then there are scriptures available, and there's living, example of Kabir Sahib as a guru. You accept that. In one of his bhajans, he said, Gyan Guru and Man Chela.
Yes.
Okay? The Gyan, the knowledge, is the guru, and your mind is the disciple.
Yes.
Allow the Gyan to instruct the mind.
Okay. Because I find that even for me personally, I learn from various saints of various traditions, both Eastern and Western, and I bring in within myself the learnings from various pathways. They all say the same thing at the fundamental level. Like if you go to the base of it all, the highest order of saints from any tradition is they're saying the same truth, and I find that truth in Saint Kabir's teachings as well, as I've authored this book recently. Beautiful teachings.
Yes. Yeah, that is true, because ultimately there's only unity.
Yes.
There's only one God. And Kabir Sahib would go so far as to say that you cannot say one God. Because whenever you use a number, one, what happened to two? There's a possibility of two.
Sure.
Okay, so you don't say one God, you say
Yes.
only God.
Yes.
And so he said, think of that state of being when there's no earth, no water, no fire, no sun, no air, no people, no animal, no trees. What is there in that ultimate state? There's only a unitary being.
There's just space, energy.
Yeah, but space is also a confining thing. Space, has its own limits.
Yes.
And space cannot exist without, let's say, a source. Because you can say space at that time. Where did time come from? The scientists will tell you it all started with the Big Bang, but what caused the Big Bang? What did the material that caused the Big Bang? What was it? Where did it come from?
Yes.
The scientists don't have answers for that part.
Yes.
But there can be no effect without a cause. And so God is said to be the causeless cause. He caused the universe to come into being.
Yeah.
But God himself does not have a cause.
Yes.
Our human intellect cannot find a cause why God should be there.
Yes.
But there has to be a source.
Yes.
We are here.
Yeah.
Where did we come from? So we all accept that there is a source we call God. You can call God by any name, it doesn't matter. But there has to be a source.
But how did Kabirji define God? If somebody was to come to him and say, define God for me, who is God? What would he say?
Yeah. Well, he did not have a particular definition of God, because God is something, or let's say a being that you experience,
Sure.
and it's not describable. He used the example, there's a dumb person, you give him a candy,
Yes.
it's sweet, he enjoys it,
Yeah.
and he smiles.
Yeah.
He can't describe it.
Yeah.
Now, if you have never tasted something,
Mm.
and I try to describe it to you in words, you will not understand it.
Yes.
You have to actually taste it. So it's like God is like that. You have to experience God, and no number of words will ever give you that experience. This is why he said, you don't need all these scriptures to explain God to you, because they can't.
Yes.
And he said all the great sages and saints and gods and goddesses, they have missed knowing God as that ultimate reality that's manifesting everywhere.
Yes. Because once you start getting into deities, etc., you forget that these deities are just representation of that one God. Initially, those deities were started off just as representations, and perhaps later on, some individuals forgot that they are representations and started really praying to the deity instead of the God that is the divine being behind the deity.
Well, this is exactly true. People will establish certain deities, let's say in a temple or an altar in a home,
Yes.
and then they will pray to that all their life.
Yes.
And that's all, the end in itself.
Yes.
But they're only representation of something else. So Kabir Sahib, in order to waken up the people, he said, why are you playing with dolls? There's something that's real.
Yes.
Your doll may be this size or that size, it weighs so much, it costs so much, it costs so much. Is that what God is? He said, no. Stop playing with dolls. Grow up. And the problem is, we understand a little girl will play with dolls,
Yes.
but in a few years she will not play with the dolls.
Yeah.
She's gone to something else. But the people who are praying in that way to all the deities, they never leave them.
Yes.
And they make that the end in itself, and that's where you get God. But Kabir Sahib wants people to wake up and see that God is something dwelling in you already.
Yes.
And those people who are praying to the deities outside, their focus is outside.
Yes.
Outside.
Yes.
And Kabir Sahib said, turn your eyes inward. Naina jo ulte Kabira science and mukkari. Turn your vision inward and see the master is right there.
Yes. Yes. He even says Gungar ke patikol.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Remove that veil,
Yes.
and you will see God right there.
Yes. And I think that's the biggest issue with the deities, etc. Because they kind of pull you outward while your vision needs to be inside. And it's only inside, as Kabirji said, you can really find the divine.
Yeah.
And so what happens to people who don't pay attention to this and they don't wake up during their lifetime? What happens to them?
Well, the law of karma is operative.
Yeah.
And according to people's karmas, that is what they will reap.
Sure.
So he said, using an example where he was living, there were people who were killing animals and so on.
Yeah.
He said, Kabir tere jhopri gal katiyana ke paas.
Yeah.
Jo karenge so bharenge. Tu kya udas?
Yes.
So they will reap what they're sowing. I should not get sad over that. I want to connect with God.
Yes.
So karam gati tare nahi tare. Chahe lakh karo chaturai. Your karmas will never be erased. No matter how cunning you think you are. You have to pay for it. And a famous example he gave is Lord Ram, who had to go to the forest for 14 years.
Yes.
And his guru was a great Vashisht,
Yes.
who chose the proper time, the auspicious time for the wedding and everything. And he was supposedly growing to be a king.
Yes.
and instead he had to go to jungle.
Yeah.
So Kabir Sahib used that. Hovai honi hoy rahe, honhar so hoy. Ram Chandra ban ko gaye, sukh achar dukhoy.
Yeah.
He said he was supposed to enjoy happiness as a king and so on, but his karmas had to take him to the jungle.
Yes.
That no matter, he couldn't remove his karmas.
Yes. Yes. So, but there is a way to escape karmas based on Kabirji's, and that is once we awaken to our divine self, that's when we escape the whole cycle of karmas or cycle of birth and death. Once we wake up to our divine self, right?
Yeah, that's true. Going back a little bit on what happened to these people who don't wake up, they're in this wheel of coming and going, transmigration.
Yes.
That's got the Bhausagar,
Yes.
the ocean of birth and death and karmas. So they keep on this wheel, as it were. It's similar to a student not graduating to the next class. Keeps repeating until one day graduate. So people go through the same cycle.
So is it possible that somebody can be demoted down from their human birth to something perhaps lesser than a human being?
There's that possibility, yes, because if you, as a human being with a mind and intellect and rationality and will, choose not to use them, and you're doing animalistic things, you live like an animal, like a beast, well, then you might turn one of those in the next life too.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with a student doing very badly and put backward.
Yes.
Same idea.
So as I reviewed the poems, Kabirji said, since we don't know about the next life, and we do know about this life, and we do have access to a guru in this life, so let's do the task during this lifetime when we still have all this opportunity available to us.
Yes, yeah. In that respect, he said, "Jiyate hi samjhe, jiyate hi bujhe,
Yeah.
jiyate hi karo asha."
Yeah.
You have life now. You can think now.
Yes.
You have a consciousness now.
Yeah.
Now is the time to use them.
Yes.
Not hope that after death you will be able to use them. You can't.
Yes.
So we know we can only learn while we are alive.
Yeah.
And have conscience and etc. So let us do it now.
Yes. So, what do you think happens to people who do wake up now on the positive side?
Yeah.
So, what did Kabirji say about that?
Well, he said you can enjoy bliss.
Yes.
And he said, bhajan mein hot anand anand.
Yes.
Bhajan means devotion.
Yes.
And once you do your devotion and do the meditation, he said you will reach that stage of existence in this life
Yes.
where you have that bliss.
Yes.
And he said, I have manifested bliss in my life. I'm explaining it to you. You can also have it.
He's sharing his knowledge
Yes.
to his disciples. Actually, that reminds me, as I was sitting down, there's a beautiful poem that Kabirji wrote, Name Dharmi, Name Dharmi. And you can explain Name Dharmi just at a high level.
Okay.
But I wanted to actually take a moment, Dr. Das, if you allow me, is to read the spiritual reflection on it from this book. It's a beautiful. This is actually one of my favorite poems of Kabirji, Name Dharmi Nahi Dharmi, which means I'm not righteous, and I'm not unrighteous either. And as this book, Songs for the Soul, featuring 100 beautiful poems of Saint Kabir, contains spiritual reflections, I'll read my own spiritual reflections on this, one of my favorite poems of Saint Kabir. So, Dr. Das, if you allow me. It says, as an enlightened being, I live in a divine absolute space. In this space, the rules of righteousness of this world do not apply. There is no righteousness or unrighteousness. I don't have many worldly desires, but I don't leave this world either. It is a very contented place. I will just be in this space. I don't have to talk or hear. I just feel the bliss of being in the divine ocean. I'm neither under anyone, nor do I have desire to rule anyone. I'm neither under anyone's bondage, nor am I completely free. As long as I'm in this human body, there will always be some physical bonding present, even when I'm fully enlightened. I'm not free from worldly attachments, but there is not too much pull from these attachments either. I'm one with everyone, but still completely alone by myself. I'm beyond the perspective of hell and heaven. These concepts just belong to the cycle of birth and death. I don't worship any deities, but I don't disrespect any. I understand the importance of deities for some human beings based on their life's journey. I perform work for the pleasure of work and to express the creativity ordained in me. It's not with a desire for some fruits in the future, since I've surrendered it all. As I've become completely one with the Absolute and surrendered to the Divine, I've gone beyond the cycle of life and death and related causes and effects of karmas. So this is Name Dharmi, Name Dharmi, and the spiritual reflections on it. Actually, in this particular book, Dr. Das' contribution is amazing. First, he not only gave rights to reprint 100 of the poems that he has translated from his book. What's the book called?
Kabir Bhajan Amrita.
Kabir Bhajan Amritam. But he also reviewed this book. He reviewed all 100 reflections of this book. What did you think about the reflections, Dr. Das?
I think it was very great.
Yeah.
Very great. I think you have grasped the essence of what Kabir Sahib was explaining.
Thank you.
In your own reflections, I think you reflected that.
Thank you. And in order to do these reflections, I went into this absolute space that Kabirji talks about. And when the reflections came, actually I would write down the reflections and then I would read them and be amazed as to where they came from. And sometimes the reflections were such that I asked myself, am I ready to reveal them to the world? But I said, if this is the reflection that came from that space, that divine space, I cannot change it. It has to remain as they are. And it was my great fortune that Dr. Das was one of the reviewers of this book. He also gave the background of Kabirji in this book. He's provided foreword in this book as well. So, Dr. Das, this book is really our collaboration for the two of us. One of the things that's amazing in here is a poem that Kabirji wrote, where he gave 10 steps to enlightenment. So 10 steps to enlightenment. And I wonder if I can find it. Let's see. It's called, do you remember Koi Lodat?
Koi Lodat Sant Sujan.
Koi Lodat Sant Sujan.
Plucking the flowers.
Yes. What we can do, and I think it will be very beneficial for our viewers, is I will read the one step. Then I will let you reflect and provide us a bit more detail on that step. And then that way we can go over the 10 steps. So, because I know the viewers who are interested in spirituality, they want to know their pathway to enlightenment. And Kabirji in this poem just gave it away. Like he said, these are the 10 steps. If you want enlightenment, follow these 10 steps and you will get enlightenment. And I was just struck by this poem. Actually, these two poems that we are reading in this interview. One of my other reviewers, Noam Francois, he actually told me that these two would become his Bible.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Interesting.
He said these are some things that he wants to read every morning, because he has his goal towards enlightenment.
Yes.
He said that's his major goal in this life, to get enlightened. So now this poem, Koilo, that's San Sujan. I'll read the steps and then Dr. Das will provide further explanation. So, spiritual reflections. In this precious offering, Saint Kabir gives us step-by-step approach to enlightenment. First step, go to an enlightened teacher and learn from him the inner teachings. Contemplate in your heart the true knowledge, day and night, until the knowledge becomes wisdom in your being. So, Dr. Das, what do you say about that? How does somebody find an enlightened teacher?
Well, there are many teachers, I think, we could say guru.
Yes.
Kabir Sahib warns us, and if you go back to India, when people are picking up water to drink, they will strain it because it's from a stream.
Yes.
So he said in Hindi, Pani pive chan ke, guru kije jan ke. You must always examine your guru.
Sure.
See his character, his way of speaking, his conduct, and everything else. And if you feel he's the right guru, then accept him. But once you accept your guru, then you follow his teachings, his lifestyle, and everything else.
Yes. Just a little sidestep from this. Kabir Panth currently has a main person, right? That's the top individual in the Kabir Panth, right?
Yeah, there is.
But you guys don't pray to him, you pray to Saint Kabir.
Yes, but we hold our guru in high esteem.
Sure.
The reason is that Guru Kabir himself said, if God and your guru are side by side,
Sure.
to whom will you bow first?
Yes.
He said, bow down to the guru first.
Yes.
Because he teaches you about God. God doesn't come and teach you anything.
Yes.
But a guru has realized God,
Yes.
and he's able to impart that to you.
Yes.
So bow down to your guru, then go and bow down to God.
So you consider the top leader currently, what is his name?
We call him Hazur Sahib.
Okay.
Hazur.
Yes.
And our current one is Hazur Ardhanam Sahib.
Okay.
Sri Hazur Ardhanam.
And where is he currently resident?
He's in Banaras, at
Banaras.
the Kabir Ashram, Lahartara, where Kabir was from the Sabine.
Oh, very nice, very nice. So again, the first step is to go to an enlightened teacher, learn from him the inner teachings, and then contemplate on those teachings day and night. Now the second step, remove any doubts about God in your heart and believe. Have faith in the true Guru's teachings and see the divine force in everyone. So how would you explain that, Dr. Das?
Yeah, to have, to see the divine force. The Guru helps you to realize the divine force in you, because that force is already in you. But as we discussed much earlier, a person may not know how to contact that divine force. And so you follow the teachings of the Guru, have faith in him, and gradually, day by day, as you're with him, he will enlighten you.
Sure.
And he said, the Guru is the greatest giver and the disciple is the greatest beggar.
Sure.
He said, Guru saman data nahi,
Sure.
yacha kashisha saman, tina lok ki sampada, Guru di nidan. So there's no beggar greater than the disciple and no giver greater than Guru. The Guru gives the disciple the wealth of the three worlds as a gift.
Yes. And as you said, that the Guru can be this inner spirit as well.
Yes.
The Guru can be the spiritual teachings of Saint Kabir. Or, the third one you said, it could be a living Guru as well.
Yes.
One question I must ask on this, removal of doubts. The doubts come in the disciple's heart, in the seeker's heart. How does somebody remove their doubts?
Yeah. Well, the Guru again will be the one who helps you to remove the doubt. Kabir Sahib said there are many gurus. They will take your wealth and the material things from you, but they will not remove your doubt. Have that Guru who will remove your doubt. And the way that will be is that the Guru has realized what God is. And once you realize what God is, there's no doubt left.
Yes.
So he teaches you how to go within yourself and realize God. What is the reality? What's the absolute?
Yes.
What is there that does not change with time?
Yes.
And when you begin to grasp that, it gives you a feeling of bliss and understanding, and your doubts are removed. That's when you have knowledge. That's called Gyan.
Yes.
And it's called Atma Gyan
Yes.
or Brahma Gyan, knowledge of the absolute.
Yes. And that's, I guess that's what Dr. Das is conveying, the importance of having a guru, whether, as I said, whether it's an internal divine spirit or the spiritual teachings or a living guru. Third step is to do your meditative practice by concentrating at the third eye. As your third eye opens, you will hear the glorious divine melody.
Yes. Well, the third eye is right here.
Sure.
It's called Trikuti.
Yeah.
It is where the Ida and the Pingala, left and right nostrils, meet to what is called the Sushumna.
Sure.
It's a central canal. This is metaphysical. There's
Sure.
probably no physical counterpart because that's what it is.
Sure.
So he said, meditate here. It's very simple to focus your eye right here when you close your eyes and meditate,
Yes.
rather than have your eyes different places.
Yes.
So that is the point, that you're able to focus so keenly, so much so that you are oblivious to all the material things and even to your own body
Yes.
and everything else. And all you're aware of is a state of consciousness.
Yes.
And that state of consciousness is where you begin to awaken
Yes.
to that reality that manifests that consciousness in you.
Yes. When the third eye opens, what does Kabirji says? Like, what do we see?
He did not particularly say you have to see anything, but something happens automatically. You mentioned the divine melody.
Yes.
It's called Anahad Nad, the
Yes.
unstruck divine music, or the thunder of silence in
Okay.
English terms. You begin to realize this within yourself,
Yes.
or you see light that transcends 16 suns or a million suns or whatever. These are just figurative ways of saying that you will see the divine light and hear divine music.
Yes.
And this is what leads you to that enlightenment.
Mm.
Because the original energies start to be sound and light.
Mm.
And the other grosser forms of energy followed after that. So creation proceeded from light and sound. So in meditation you go back to those, the source.
Yes. Actually, I must say, in the process of writing this book and reading Kabirji's poems, my third eye area has become very active, extremely active, that even as I'm sitting here, I can feel the tension right here. It's not tension, it's kind of like a vibration of sorts. It's like a vibration. And it's something tangible that I feel.
That's very good.
And it's the power of Saint Kabir's teachings that it's not just as a writer it has impacted me, but even the reviewers, there are a couple of the reviewers that were, one is a Zen teacher, and he said that in the process of reviewing he has evolved. Another person said that these poems are going to be his Bible. So and the third reviewer is Dr. Das himself. So you can just imagine that the power of teachings of Kabir, that even in 100 poems, he's written many, right?
Yes,
Like
hundreds and hundreds of them.
Yes. We've tried to pick the best 100. No, I'm just kidding. The 100 that we selected out of Dr. Das's book, Kabir Bhajan Amritam, and we've included that here. But you know, his teachings are so powerful. Doesn't matter what you touch,
Yes.
you're changed.
Yeah.
You cannot say Kabir, Kabir, Kabir for 3 months and not be shifted. Like it's going to shift you. His entity is so powerful. His spirit that lives on is so powerful that it would shift anybody that touches him. So then the third step again is to do the meditative practice. Just to remind, first step was to go to the enlightened teachers and then contemplate on the teaching. Second step, remove any doubts with the help of the teacher about God. And third step is do meditative practice on the third eye. Now fourth step. Fourth step is Dr. Das already mentioned, but let's talk about that a bit. Keep your mind in check, as Dr. Das mentioned earlier. It is better to have fewer distractions. Work on consciously decreasing the lust, anger, greed, attachments, desires, and pride in yourself. Instead, develop love and compassion in your heart for one and all. Also request your true Guru to give you the gift of devotion towards the divine. What would you say on that, Dr. Das?
Yeah. The devotion is something that's very important. And the devotion is not an external devotion.
Sure.
It is surrendering yourself with deep love and gratitude. In one of his sakhis, he said, Prema jagave virahato, viraha jagave piu, piu jagave chuko, vahi piu, vahi chu. Such great teaching in 2 lines. He said, when you, because of your love for God, feel that pang of separation, then God begins to respond to you in some mysterious way. God responds.
Yes.
And when God responds, He awakens you.
Yes.
When you are awakened, you see, oh, I am God.
Yes.
God is in me.
Yes.
It's like when He said that I went to look, Lali mere lal ki jit dekho te lal, Lali dekhan mai gai, mai bhi ho gai lal. I went to look for that beautiful color. I am in that color already.
Yes.
Where do you go and look? So that's the type of devotion He's talking about.
Yes. And again, as you said, it's important to keep the mind in check.
Yeah.
And the Soham mantra also helps to because mind can focus on one thing at a time. And if you're focused on the Soham mantra, then this means it's not distracted on various other distractions of the mind. Then fifth step, he says, it's a reflection on Kabirji's poem, where he guides, now become familiar with the eternal elements, air, water, earth, fire, and ether. Commune with the elements to become one with them. Be the master of the 5 senses, sight, hearing, taste, touch, and smell. Not be their servant, but the master. Acquaint yourself with breath, and let mind and breath harmonize. As the harmonization takes place, you will feel at peace and will be able to go to deeper insight. So communing with the 5 elements, how do we do that, Dr. Das?
Yeah, well, it is taught that all the material things are made of 5 elements.
Yes.
Earth, water, fire, air, ether,
Yes.
space. So when these 5 elements make you up, Kabir Sahib said, be familiar with them, because you are it, this body.
Yeah.
And this body is the home where you dwell.
Yes.
So you must know your house. So he said, be familiar with that.
Yes.
And then control all these passions that are dictating to this body what should be done.
Yes.
He used the example, Kaya Deval Manthaja Vishay Lahari Fahrai. Man Chalya Deval Chale Taka Sarvascha. He said, think this body is a temple and there's a flag waving in the wind. If the waving of the flag, the fluttering of the flag causes the temple to shake, then it will be destroyed.
Sure.
The mind is that flag. If the mind is wavering, not steadfast, and the mind is dragging the body here and there, do this, do that, here, then where are you?
Yes.
You can't achieve anything.
Yes.
You'll be destroyed.
Yes.
So that's why he said, be familiar with the elements and control all the things that work through the mind
Yes.
to keep you restless.
And you use the example of the fluttering flag.
Yeah.
Actually, I did a Vipassana meditation for 10 days. It's in a Buddhist tradition. They say Buddha himself did Vipassana meditation. Of course, there could be controversy there. Some Buddhist traditions may say he did a different type of meditation, but one particular tradition says that he did Vipassana type of meditation. And in that meditation, as you sit down and concentrate within yourself, you find that you can find that mind flutters, but the technique is to not flutter with the mind and actually just observe as something happens in your system, and be steadfast within yourself and keep that integrity of the heart, mind, and soul. And more you do that, eventually mind would lose its control on you and you will become the master.
Yes.
Right? So that is what Kabirji here is trying to say. Sixth step, after you've communion with the elements, the sixth step is, in a meditative state, pierce through your 6 chakras and go above them to see light. Keep your left and right nerve currents in balance, that is Eta and Pingala, and then move through the Sushmna central channel to reside in the void. What would you say about that, Dr.
Yeah. Well, Ida and Pingala is taught in the yoga system.
Yes.
These nerve currents.
Yes.
That when they're in balance, you will be meditating better. And Sushumna is that central, let's say, channel nerve current that leads you to that reality that you're meditating on.
Yes.
It's in the Indian system is the Ganga, the Ganges, and Jamuna and Saraswati are the 3 rivers. They meet at the Sangam,
Yes.
the conjunction in Allahabad, or
Yeah.
Triveni is called Triveni.
Okay.
So Kabir Sahib said that Triveni is here, where the Ida, the Pingala, Sushumna meet. Go to that Triveni
Yes.
instead of that one over there.
Yeah.
And this Triveni is what is going to awaken you to enlightenment.
Yes. Yes. How do we pierce through the 6 chakras?
Well, through meditation practice, the yoga system will say, okay, you have these 6 chakras starting at the base of the spine called Muladhara chakra,
Sure.
and then the highest one is called Sahasrara chakra.
Sure.
And as you purify yourself in meditation and all the other things called yamas and niyamas in yoga system,
Yes.
we wouldn't go into all that now, but the system is laid out. As you practice all of that and purify yourself, control your mind, defeat all the passions and distractions, then you will rise gradually through those chakras. Now this is metaphysical, and there can be physical correlates called the ganglia, or the nerve plexuses
Sure.
that may correspond to those chakras. So because of your purifying yourself and practicing meditation, you begin to rise spiritually through those chakras until you reach here, where then you are open to enlightenment.
Is it similar to Kundalini Yoga by any chance?
It will be similar. Kundalini is that energy
Yes.
that's sitting at the base of the spine. It's called the serpent energy,
Yes.
Kundalini. And so you awaken the Kundalini energy. It is that which rises
Yes.
to the chakras.
Yes. Is it similar? It's
Well,
similar?
it will be, yes,
Similar.
yes.
Yeah. Then the 7th step is let truth enlighten your body, mind, and soul, and keep your sight on the Supreme Spirit within you. Now, with the realization of divine within you, merge delicately with it. Let yourself unite with your divine state.
Well, truth must be what motivates you. But what is truth? It's not like I'm telling you what is truth.
Yes.
Truth is God and God is truth.
Yes.
So we must let that motivate us. We must say, okay, we are seeking the truth.
Yes.
How do we find the truth? You can't find it outside.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing outside that's really the truth.
Yes.
Everything that we see and that we can deal with or in any way perceive, they're not truth. They're just temporarily there and then they're gone.
Yes.
So that's not truth. he is telling you, go to that truth to motivate you, that truth that is eternal.
Yes.
And that dwells within you.
Yes.
Go to
And
that.
and I find that even in my own practice, when I'm in the space which we can potentially call absolute space, when I go into that space, I don't see myself. And I think Kabirji did a Sakhi like that too, where he talked about like when the God is there.
Oh yes, yes.
Um,
I remember the one you said.
yeah, which one was that?
जब मैं था तब हरि नाही, अब हरि है मैं नाही.
Yeah.
प्रेम गले के साथ रीता में जो तो न समाए.
Yeah.
If you have duality
Yes.
in your mind, you can't go to God,
Yes.
because God is unity.
Yes.
So if you want to go to God and you say, I am me, with my ego and my personality and everything else, you're not going to get to God. When you dissolve everything and you say, I am God,
Yes.
then you go there.
Yes. And that space is beautiful. But the only thing is you yourself, your little self doesn't remain in that. That's the only little negative part, or I don't know what you want to call it. But the benefit is huge because you become one with the divine.
Yes.
And I think that negative part, the so-called negative, is just that ego still trying to kind of like keep on to itself, because it doesn't wish to dissolve,
That's right.
right?
Yeah.
And but as Kabirji says, in the seventh step, instead let truth, the divine light, enlighten your body, mind, and soul, and stay in there.
Mm-hmm.
Eighth step, let the lotus of consciousness bloom now, and let your heart be in the light. When you can see the divine within your soul, you're fit to be called a saint.
Mm-hmm. Well, the divine light, being that light, we had mentioned this before.
Yes.
When you're meditating at the Tripoti,
Yes.
you might hear divine sound and see divine light.
Yes.
So live in that, be in that presence. That means you are leaving the materialism behind.
Yes.
You are now in the spirit.
Yeah.
And when you're in the spirit, stay in the spirit.
Yes.
And then the material life is going to unfold the way it should. You have to live
Yes.
your material life.
Yeah.
But living the material life, you're connected with the spirit all the time.
Yes. Yes. Ninth step. Only 2 steps left, and now we are on ninth step. As you make the divine master your ally and become one with it, your portals of perception will open up wide. You will experience things that you could never perceive before. You will see that your soul is not your body, rather you are one with the divine.
Yeah, I think that's self-explanatory, really.
Okay.
You see yourself as the divine, the portals of perception will open, because nothing is hidden from divinity.
Yes.
And when you contact divinity, everything is open to you,
Yes.
because you living this body, as it were,
Yes.
now you're in the spirit.
Yeah.
Nothing is hidden from the spirit.
Yes.
So all the portals of perception are open to you.
Yes. And more we stay in that light, more the doors can open and more we can see.
That's right.
Yes. 10th step and the last step. At this step, you will reach the door of liberation. You will enjoy the unstruck divine melody. In this state, you have crossed the cycle of birth and death and reached the eternal abode. Now you can live eternally in the divine. Yes.
Very good.
It's beautiful. It's like the 10th step. I was talking to a friend of mine, like anybody that I talk to about this book, and I said, this book contains the 10 steps to enlightenment. They're like, I wish to read this book. And the Kabirji has kind of like given this as part of his poem, and all we have to do is follow.
Yes, yeah,
Right.
that is true. Any scripture that you read, no matter to which religion,
Yes.
I've always mentioned through my talks and lectures, every scripture is a recipe book.
Wow.
You cannot read a recipe book and taste the food.
No.
You got to cook it.
Yes.
So read the scripture, it's your recipe.
Yes.
Then go ahead and do it.
Yes.
When you do it, then you will realize, oh really, this is really what I wanted.
Yes.
And you'll begin to feel that peace, that bliss, that harmony
Yes.
within you, that source of knowledge
Yes.
will all open up to you.
Yes.
And you will see your unity with the divine.
Yes.
And that is the state of bliss.
Yes, yes. So that's at the, like, this is the ultimate state of being. But now going back to more of practical life, we'll do some quick questioning on what Kabirji had said about various things. Is it okay, Dr. Das? I know we've been going on for long, but I think we are we have the privilege of having Dr. Das here. So I just want to continue on for a few more minutes, and just kind of talk about some practical things as well. Work. Everybody's got to do work. They go in the morning to their workplace, come back in the evening, and work is definitely taking a lot of our life. Is Kabirji in favor of doing work, or is spiritual work enough?
No, he was in favor of working because he himself worked all his life.
Yeah.
And in a sakhi of his, Karbahya bal apana,
Sure.
Charaviranyas, is that use your own effort, your own ability to earn your living. Do not depend on other people to do this for you.
Sure.
So you use your own labor
Yeah.
and earn honestly. So he definitely is in favor of work. But along with that work, you do your spiritual practice also.
Sure. So there needs to be this balance in life.
Yeah, right.
Right. Money. What did Kabirji say anything about money? I
Oh,
guess there
yes,
was money in his time as well. Probably not the dollars, but in some other form.
Right, yeah, there is. No, he said about money, you have to use money for altruistic purposes,
Sure.
for the benefit of humanity.
Yes.
He said, think of yourself in a boat and it's gathering water in it. What do? You go like that. You bail it out.
Yeah.
He said, do the same thing with the money.
Yes.
You don't accumulate, you don't hoard it.
Yes.
And you're probably familiar with this one. Mera mujh mein kuch nahi.
Yeah.
Jo kuch hai so to tera tujhko samjhe kya lagane.
Yeah.
Nothing belongs to me, it all belongs to you.
Yes.
So if I surrender what belongs to you, I don't lose anything.
Yeah.
So
And we don't have to be scared that just because we've given away that we would be in scarcity.
no, he said, chiri chonch bhar le gayi nadi na khatiyo neer.
Yeah.
Dan dewe dhanna gate, kah gaye Das Kabir. He said the little bird goes by the ocean, takes a dip of water.
Yes.
It doesn't diminish the ocean.
Yeah.
There's always a source that keeps supplying.
Sure.
So don't be afraid to give.
And once we are one with divine, just the way the divine takes care of the birds and the animals, he will take care of us as well.
Yeah.
How about love? Did he say something about
Oh,
love?
he said a lot about love. He said, prem sab koi kahe, prem na chine koi.
Yeah.
Dhaya kar prem ka pahe so pandit hoy.
Sure.
Now there are many scholars walking around puffed up with pride and they can quote all the scriptures.
Yes.
But he said, that's not love.
Mm.
Learn 2.5 letters in Hindi that spells love.
Yeah.
He said, learn that. Put it in your heart.
Yeah.
And that is what real love is. Prem na bari upje, prem na hat bikai, raja parja jorache, shish deleja. You can't find love in the garden or in a shop. You may be a king, an emperor, you may be a beggar. If you want love, give up your ego
Yes.
and have love in your heart.
Yes.
So he spoke a lot about love in different ways.
Definitely. Marriage and children. Was he supportive of people getting married, or there's some traditions, some spiritual traditions where they say it's better to stay single and it increases your possibility of getting enlightened, because sometimes marriage takes a lot of time away because your spouse or children demand your time.
Yeah, he was not against marriage, but he said marriage should be such that husband and wife are equal partners.
Okay.
And he said half of the wife is merged into the husband, half of the husband is merged into the wife. And he used the word ardhangi and andhargini to describe this relationship. So they're not separate beings.
Yes.
Consider husband and wife as a unit.
Yes.
They're both equal, both necessary, both
Sure.
important.
Sure. And children?
Children, yes. He said, have your children, but they must be brought up in such a way that they're following the spiritual path.
Yes.
You know, with nobility and love and kindness and forgiveness and all those things.
Yes.
I mean, we cannot have the world without children.
Yes.
But as you mentioned, some people feel, okay, it's a distraction,
Yes.
prevents you from enlightenment. So some people choose to be monks and nuns.
Yes.
No, that is a choice people make.
Yes.
But married life is not against enlightenment.
Okay.
It is part of nature.
Okay. Perfect. Is there a daily practice that Kabirji wants us to do? Daily practice?
Yes, yeah. You wake up every morning, of course, wash yourself, etc. And then you sit in prayer,
Sure.
meditation.
Yeah.
And there are certain prayers, he said, okay, recite them. There's Guru Mahima, the glory and the greatness of the Guru, recite that.
Sure.
So it sinks into your mind,
Yes.
and then you do your meditation.
Yes.
And after that, you can go with your household duties.
Yes.
In the evening, you can repeat the whole process, your prayer and meditation. And Kabir Sahib have taught prayer for everything you do in life. For bathing, eating, sleeping, waking, going to the bathroom, doing anything.
Yeah.
Even serving your food, eating your food. He's got little prayers for everything.
Oh, what's an example of one prayer that you're supposed to do when you're bathing?
No, I don't remember it
Oh, okay.
offhand. There's so many.
But do you remember any prayer that we need to do during the day, like a short little prayer that you can share?
Yes, I think what we can do is, let's say, sleeping time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't remember all the words offhand.
Just the summary of it as well.
Yeah, the summary of it is, okay, cover yourself with the blanket
Yes.
of God's name and go to sleep and surrender yourself to God. And that by doing this, no negative force, yama or any of these negative force, will be able to affect you, and you'll have good sleep. So that's one.
Beautiful, because just the thought of being able to do that, like tonight when I go to bed and actually consider what you've said, Dr. Das, and actually as I put the sheet on top of my head and I consider that it's the sheet of God's name.
Yes.
I can just imagine it's like a different state it takes you to.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Did Kabirji believe in evil? Is there evil?
Yes, yeah, he taught against that. I mean, the evils that people do through anger and greed and hate and pride and all that sort of thing. He taught against all of them. He said you have to remove them because the soul is pure. And if you want to be with God, you have to have that purity. And therefore you have to remove all these evils because they entrap you in negative karmas.
Yes.
And you have to reap those karmas.
Yes.
They will bear fruit. And therefore you don't want to suffer in the life, therefore purify your life now.
So purification. We talked about the fact that Kabirji was in favor of doing business. Business is fine as long as you also take care of the needy.
Yes.
Needy individuals. I think I've covered bulk of the items here. Are there any other messages that we haven't covered that you would like for our viewers to know about?
Well, perhaps the main thing is that Kabir wants us to realize that we are not mere human beings. We are divine.
Yes.
And let us contact that divinity within us.
Sure.
If we do that, our life will be peaceful and happy
Yes.
and balanced.
Yes.
to be harmonious.
Yes.
If we can do that, we will manifest love
Yes.
automatically. Love for ourselves, love for family, love for society, love for the world.
Yes.
And not only for people, but love for plants and animals and nature, everything. In other words, his teaching wants us to realize a total harmony, harmony of everything in God.
Yes. Yes.
And we do that by going within ourselves
Yes.
and awaken
Yes.
to that eternal harmony,
Yes.
a state of bliss.
Yes.
And I think if we don't do that, we're going to continue to suffer as human beings are suffering
Yes.
without the conflicts and everything. It's because people remain ignorant of that divinity that's
Yes.
in me and you and him and her and everything else.
Yes.
If we see that unity, there's nothing to fight about, nothing to quarrel about, no doubt in it.
Yes.
There's no evil in us.
Yes.
And that is what Kabir Sahib wants us to have.
Definitely, definitely. And that actually reminds me of that couplet that I read before, and I do want to read at the end of the show again. It goes like this: जैसे दिल में तेल है, ज्यों चकमक में आग, तेरा साया तुझ में है, तू जाग सके तो जाग. Like the oil is inside the sesame seed, just as the fire is inside the flintstone, your God is inside you. If you have the power to wake up, wake up. And that is the teaching of Saint Kabir. And thank you, Dr. Das, for
Thank
your
you.
time. It is our great fortune that you have arrived in Toronto and was able to give us time to interview you. Hopefully your message we can take to the world.
Thank you very much, Jodie, and it's been a pleasure knowing you.
Yes.
And I wish you all success in your endeavors of bringing this type of message to all the people of the world. So thank you.
Great.
May
Thank
you
you,
be
Dr. Das.
blessed.
Thank you.